And we are live with another one. Hello to all my BC WrestlePod nerds out there. Bienvenidos and welcome to another rendition of Los Lobos de la Lucha, your weekly CMLL review show here at BC WrestlePod. The whole squad is back together this week. I had missed reviewing some good Lucha Libre action from Mexico. I am your lead for this evening, Mikey, and joining me as always, first and foremost, you know him, you love him. He's currently in a feud with somebody else here, question mark. El Buntador the second. Welcome back to another, week of CMLL. We got to talk about this feud. It's getting out of hand.
Mira, we'll talk about it later. Not here. This isn't the place. Luchador.
That is very fair. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, our third and other co-host here at Los Lobos de la Lucha is Papa Oso himself. Oh man, I already knew the mask was a thing, but this is the first time seeing it on camera here since I wasn't here last week. So I love it. It is fantastic. It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Alrighty. So we are here to review two different shows that happened in the world of CMLL this week. This would be the Viernes Espectacular show on Friday, August 2nd. And we are also going to be talking about the Martes de Arena Mexico show that literally just happened yesterday on Tuesday, August 6th. So I'm going to get this out the way beforehand. When we talk about Viernes Espectacular, when we get to our main event, we're going to have a little bit of a tangent conversation because it ties into what's been going on in the world of AEW. We had an AEW champion defend their championship in Arena Mexico. And we're going to just talk about our feelings about how we kind of towed the line a little bit and almost crashed through the fence. That was what was okay and what was not. Yep. We'll get more into that in a little bit. But without further ado, let's just begin. So, as I mentioned before, we're going to talk about Viernes Espectacular. And this was a really fun show. This really was.
It was
so good that Will lost his camera.
I was about to say, Papa Oso's his you know what is the mascara is just too powerful. It's too much.
His ego powers. His ego powers.
But all right, so let's get going here while and then we'll catch him up
for sure. So we opened up Viernes Espectacular. This was a relevo sencillo increíble match. So we have Hunter and Zelua versus Retro and Infarto. So first of all,
important to note that Retro and Infarto are your rudos, and Shulwa and Hunter are your technicals.
That is also very, very true. So we kick off with this match. This is for one fall. Yeah, it was for one fall between these two. I believe this is my first time seeing Zelua, because I haven't seen him on any, or maybe I have, and I just don't remember, but I believe this is the first time I saw him since we started watching CMLL, and I was like, I like the name. I also like the getup. Let's see where this goes. I thought the match was a fantastic opener. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so I saw and I believe it's pronounced Shulwa.
Oh, Shulwa. Okay.
Shulwa. I saw him in a Guadalajara show, and he was great there. I believe that all four of these luchadors are younger talent. That is, let's say, within the 1 year of being in CMLL. So it was a great high-flying show. These four really, really went at it. Some fantastic spots. Our technicals of Shelhua and Hunter do end up with the win. But yeah, it was. One of the things I enjoy about CMLL is I feel like they have the beginning matches the beginning match thing figured out, where the match isn't too long, it's not too short, and it gives you that energy that that you need, that the show is gonna be. What did you think about the first match there, Papa Oso?
Hey guys, sorry, my dogs literally knocked everything off.
Oh no!
I was like, oh. I was like, sorry. Let me get back into my headspace. I like the first. I like the first match.
Uh-huh.
I love that one of the things I loved about it is not necessarily the wrestling technique, but the technique of the style. Like, as it was so neat to watch them set up every move.
Yeah.
And because I stepped back and I was like, I never actually watched it from like a technical standpoint. So I stood back and kind of watched it, and I was just sort of like floored by it a little bit. Well, I'm always getting floored by it because it's just good. But it was so neat to watch because when we teach stage combat, for instance, there's always that short pause before the next phrase happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so you see them do the thing, then their partner is communicating with them that, hey, I'm ready. Then they do the launch or that sort of thing. And it was so neat to just watch that. And so in this whole first match, even though Infarto was really good, I really liked him. And I thought that submission hold between I'm going to butcher it. Is it Zelhua?
So I believe it's pronounced Shelhua.
Shelwa. Okay.
Yeah.
Shelwa in retro, that submission hold, that was badass.
Yeah.
That was so cool. I was just like, wow, that was good. No, I love this first match. I thought this first match was great. I thought it was a great opener.
Yes. So, as we mentioned before, Hunter and Shelhua do end up picking the victory in our opening match. And before we talk about our next match, I would like to tag in Adolfo real quick for a quick Lucha 101, because we have somebody who has a good question for us. So the JV Lexicon tells us and asks, how is Lucha setup different than Western style?
So at first glance, it's pretty much the same. You have your ring and you have your outside of the ring and whatnot. Where the difference lies is the makeup of the match, because you have different match. Let's how to translate in English. Categories or match styles. So when we're talking about the match, we'll say relevo or relevo, and that's the style of match. So in this one, it was a relevo sencillo. All right, which is the rules are that both people from the tag team, have to either get pinned or tap out in order for the other team to win. When we get into relevos sencillos, relevo australianos, that's where you have a team captain and the dynamic changes a little bit, where you can either pin or submit the two team members, or B, and it doesn't have to be simultaneously. It does not have to be simultaneously. You can do like a little bit of a staggered thing. Or B, you have a designated team captain, and if that team captain is either pinned or taps out, then they win. With the other difference is that sometimes the matches will be just one pinfall. Sometimes matches will be the best 2 out of 3 pinfalls. You'll see best 2 out of 3 more often with the Relevo Australiano matches, and your what in English we call the trios matches. But that's the real, let's say, setup difference. The flow in Lucha Libre is a lot different as well. You don't have a lot of those breaks, especially like with the tag team matches. You don't have this going on. Tag me in, tag me in.
You don't have a lot of the reach for the hot tags.
You don't have any of that. It's sometimes there's not even a tag. Because according to the rules, if a team member is out of the ring, then the other team member can just jump in. So there's no, and also sometimes if it might be a clean tag, the ref might say, no, I didn't see that. You can't come in. There's no tag.
Which we'll talk about when we get to the Tuesday show, because that happened in one particular match.
Right. And then the other thing too with that is that there's not a lot of pinfalls, which in Western wrestling we're used to. We're used to the 1 2 ooh 1 2 ooh. I mean, it's become a meme in itself. In Lucha Libre, it's just like going 1 2 ooh, go 1 2 submission. So it's that's yeah. It's great for us ADHD kids.
Exactly, Jamie. So that makes things so much faster and chaotic, which is why we are digging CMLL. And what perfect way to kind of see this in action than with our next match. So for the second match of the Viernes Espectacular show, we have a Relevo Australiano. So this is a dos de tres caídas. So 2 out of 3 falls. And this saw Dulce Gardenia, Rey Cometa, and Espiritu Negro taking on basically Disturbio, Apocalipsis, and of course, Will's favorite to say, El Cholo.
El Cholo. Los Indestructibles.
So I just want to say, when it comes to the male luchadores in CMLL, of course, we have our high flyers, we have our technicians. I love the fact that Dulce fills out the role of like our exotico kind of a little bit. I was like, oh, he's dressed in all pink, like he has one regular pant leg and like a short combined. I love that style. It's ridiculous.
Yep. One of his shticks is he always tries to kiss the other team.
They lean into it too during this match, which I loved. It was so ridiculous. And then when I was watching this too, Will ended up watching. He's like, I smell a hate crime. And like when they got poor Dulce in the corner and they were beating it up, I was like, this is a hate crime. This is a hate crime.
Yeah, but the cool thing is though, like, for as flamboyant as they make Dulce Gardenia out, he wrestles. And he can wrestle
good.
And he's really good.
Oh my gosh.
Not only with like your strong style-ish maneuvers, but he does a lot of high technical moves as well. So he's, and so they don't just make him like, dare I say, swishy. He's got a bite to him, and it's great to see.
I thought this was a fantastic match. There was, towards the end, though, one of our participants did have to get carried out on the stretcher. I was like, no, he landed hard. No, somebody go check on it.
Yeah, that was Rey Cometa. Yeah. He so what happened was he did a top rope corkscrew, and he ended up in essence missing the guy that was supposed to catch him, and he just hit straight on the ground. So I tried to do some research to see if he really got hurt or like what happened, and I couldn't find anything. It was kind of annoying. So Rey Cometa, if you're out there, if you're hurt, please take the time to heal, and we send our support to you.
For reals. I also want to talk about really quickly too, because I forgot to bring this up last time we saw this particular trio of Dulce, Rey, and Espiritu. The fact that Espiritu and Rey like incorporate their heritage. I don't want to misspeak. I don't want to say Native American or, even if they're part of the native of Mexico, whether that be Mayan, Azteca, or, Inca and all that good stuff. I love that they incorporate it into their ring gear, and that, you know, the big old dream catcher that they brought out to the start was just like, I love seeing representation like that. It's always fantastic. And I'm like, why can't we get this in the States? Like, what is going on? Then again, if the States actually had Native American wrestlers, I'm afraid that they would like gimmick it up too much. I was like borderlining disrespectful, but that's neither here nor there.
Papa, also, what'd you think of the second match?
I actually really liked this match. There's a lot of beef flying around in this match.
There was, yeah.
I thought Cholo had some pretty cool moves against Ray. I thought the Rudos were pretty badass in this match.
Yeah.
You know, and I do like Dolce Gardenia. I did like him a lot, but he was getting his ass kicked a lot in this match.
Yeah.
Like a lot. It's just like, it's the bright colors, man. They're attracted to the bright colors.
I think the other thing that didn't help too is the fact that Dulce was also his team's captain in this match too.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought a lot of my favorite stuff happened in the third round.
Third fan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like, even though that's where you saw the technicals started to get sloppy. Because not only did Ray hurt himself, but I don't know who it was, but someone misstepped in a who was it? It was oh my gosh. It was one of the Rudos that was doing a backflip. He did not land it right. You saw him stumble, and there were a couple of other ones. And then, of course, the minute Ray did that corkscrew, I was like, "Oh, that's not going to land right."
Yeah,
and his partner was trying to catch him, but he just went straight down.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I was telling Mikey, I was like, he hit that floor so hard. I was like, I'd be amazed if he didn't have some cracked ribs, because man, he hit it hard. There was a move that Dolce did off the side, and again, I didn't write down who it was against, but he did this really cool. He was on the outside of the ring on the side, on I guess the apron area of it, and he did this cool move, and he had a lot of really good moves. He was very fluid. Yes. I really kind of liked him a lot.
Yeah.
But I can't remember who it was. But anyway, overall, I really liked this whole match a lot. I really did. Even with the technical issues, I thought it was pretty good.
Right. And I mean, our technicals did pick up the victory. So Dulce, Ray, and Espiritu do win in this match. And then we get into our next match.
Woo!
So we get into our next match. Like I had to make sure I got everyone right, because we didn't get no intro placard. We wasted no time, because in another Relevo Australiano match, 2 out of 3 falls, we had the team of Magnus, Rugido, and my personal homeboy Hechicero taking on the team of Soberano Jr., Averno, and Euphoria. We didn't waste no time though, because
they just
the Rudo teams, like, just as soon as Hechicero made his way down, they all came in and they started beating him up. And this was like a chaotic 5 to 7 minute brawl. The match didn't even start. I was like, what is happening? What is going on?
Yeah.
Hechicero did not walk out of here like 100%, because they were going at Hechicero the whole entire time.
Yep.
I was like, it was crazy.
Yes. So this match was a Rudos versus Rudos match. Unlike, which I should have pointed out is another difference with between Western and Lucha Libre, is that in Lucha Libre you have Rudos, which are your bad guys, if you will. They don't follow the rules really. And you have your técnicos, which are your good guys, which are the more technical wrestlers that do the high flying and whatnot. In this match, it was rudos versus rudos. And even though you did have some guys that do some I said doo-doo, some high flying moves. They weren't averse to using underhanded tricks and and bending the rules and this, that, and the other. But yeah, it started off with we had a Donnybrook on the ramp coming in, didn't even give the announcer enough time to get out who was coming out. We had this last week though, and it was chaos, but it was the most enjoyable type of chaos that you could watch.
It definitely was chaotic. They were ripping at Hechicero's mask the whole time too, which was crazy. Yep. Man, Magnus and Rugido couldn't get anything in, and then officially the match starts. We go through the whole thing, and ultimately Magnus, Rugido, and Hechicero do win this match. And if I remember correctly, this punches their ticket to the finals of this Rudo versus Rudo like trios we got going on.
Yeah. It is important to point out though that the way that they won was by disqualification.
Yes, which was interesting.
Yeah, because Euphoria had a submission hold, like this submission rack backbreaker hold on Hechicero, and Hechicero tapped, and the ref told Euphoria to let it go, and Euphoria refused to let it go. So that DQ'd the team of Euphoria, Avernio and Sobrano Jr. So
it was. So Papa Oso, we're gonna come to you. Me and you had a very fun, interesting conversation, given with how chaotic this match was. But what are some of your thoughts about this Rudo versus Rudo match?
I thought that, first of all, I loved Rugido, Magnus, and Hechicero. I love those guys. It's like I know the Rudos, and I'm just like, I feel bad for liking them, but I really like them.
So did the crowd. The crowd was behind Hechicero and them.
The first part of this match was literally Hechicero getting his ass handed to him. Yeah. I was like, good Lord. And yeah, right out of the gate, I think I said, Mikey, OMG. I was like, oh my God. So it's, the energy and the chaos in this match was so fun. And it was one of those matches where I'm like, I wish I was sitting on the front row. I really wish I was sitting on the front row. I was literally watching today's matches going, I wonder how much it would cost to go to Mexico to watch one of these. I was literally like, I really want to go and watch one, at the arena.
Exactly. Hey, I mean, I'm close to Mexico, given to where I live. I live in California, so it's not that far off for us to go.
I live 12 hours from Mexico. Let me see, what else did I? Oh, that move Hechicero did on, I think it was Averno in the third or the second. Well, there wasn't a third, but the second. Mm-hmm. That move was badass. There was a lot of good stuff. There was a lot of good stuff, and I'm kind of bummed that it didn't go all three because I really wanted to watch more. But then I really didn't know what happened. I saw that submission move was badass, by the way, too. And when I was watching that, I was like, "Oh, the pain!" And so when he tapped out, and then they were like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Okay, that was that." So we're moving on to the third one. I didn't realize they got disqualified until people started wandering off, and I said, Mikey, I was like, "Was that a disqualification?" I guess I didn't see it. I didn't know what was happening, but and then the drama continued up the ramp. I mean, it's like,
Yep.
as they were taking Hechicero up the ramp, they jumped him on the board.
While he was on the stretcher.
And he's like, "Don't take me on the board." He got helped to the back by his teammates. And he's like, "I'm not getting on this stretcher. Like, we're gonna walk to the back."
Yeah.
And he did. He was like, "Get me off this thing." I was just like, "Oh my god!" Yeah, this is why I was like, "God, I wish I was on the front row." I just wanted to be on the front row. What a great! It was such a good match. It was so good. I loved it.
Oh my goodness. As I said before, we had, Magnus Rugido and Hechicero ultimately pull out the victory here by disqualification. And you know what? Before we move on to our next match, because it was after this match that we got the commercial for, the International Grand Prix happening later in the evening. They also showed it on Tuesday, but we're going to talk about it here because you guys, when I tell you, like, oh my gosh, the participants for the men, and then I also have a secondary announcement that, I found out too. But we have a whole bunch of people that are involved in this whole entire thing. So we have a Team Mexico and then Team International. So Team Mexico, we have people like Místico, Volador Jr., Templario, like our mainstay folks. Our whole mainstay crew. And then on the flip side, when I looked at the international team, I'm like, damn, they pulled from everywhere because we had Yoda Tsuji, Claudio Castagnoli, Kyle Fletcher. We literally got Mansoor of MXM Collection. Like a whole bunch of people from all of this, which makes me super excited. So this tournament is happening at the end of this month. And then on top of that, too, not only do the men get one, but they just announced, too, that in October, we're getting another Grand Prix, but this is the Amazona Grand Prix in October. Ooh. So the women are going to get their own tournament come October. And I'm just like, yes, nice. Give me all the action.
That's what's up.
I'm so excited. And it's a 20 women elimination tournament. So I'm like, 20 women, let's go.
Wow. I'm excited to see who they pull for that. That's going to be fun.
Oh, absolutely. And the first participant for that women's tournament was last year's winner, Tessa Blanchard, who will be going back in to try to win it again, which we'll talk about her on Tuesday. So I'm excited for these Grand Prix. I was like, I have no idea what to expect, but this is going to be awesome with all the talent we got for the tournament for the men. So after, the chaos that was that last match, we had a quick promo segment with, the four people that were going to fight each other later in the evening, because we got a back and forth promo between Pac and Rocky Romero having this promo battle with Máscara Dorado and Volador Jr., who would be fighting later. It sets up the match that we were going to have with them, made me even more excited for it.
Oh, yeah.
So then we get a championship match next. So this is for the Mexican National Light Heavyweight Championship, where we have the challenger, Valiente, taking on the champion, Esfinge, in this match. I was like, y'all, we get a championship match. Let's go. I'm super excited. I don't know what to expect. It was great. This was a really fun match. It was a lot more intense than I thought it was going to be, because I was like, okay, I see you, Valiente. I see you hitting harder than I normally see you. Esfinge also pulling out the stops to maintain that championship. But of course, Esfinge capitalizes on Valiente doing the one thing that no wrestler should do: gloat before you get the actual pin. I was like, I love watching karma happen. It's so much fun as a wrestling fan. But yeah, so El Buntador, we had this championship match happen. Spoiler alert, Esfinge does retain the championship, but how did we feel about the Mexican light heavyweight championship being defended on this episode?
I didn't realize, with all the other participants in this episode of Viernes Espectacular, I didn't even realize that we were getting this match. So when it popped up and it's like, por el Campamento Nacional Semicomplado del CMLL, I was like, oh, we're getting a championship match. Like, awesome. They have been, over the past few weeks, building this Esfinge Valiente rivalry. So it was good to see them one-on-one. it was good to see Valiente doing those type of underhanded tactics, because he has proclaimed that he is no longer going to be a technical, that he is now going to be a rudo. So, and then at the end when he grabbed the belt and started beating Esfinge with the belt, that just confirmed that he is officially now a rudo. But yeah, it was a really fun match. I will say though, and I'll point this out on the Tuesday show too. But I'm ready for the mask versus mask match, so we can stop the mask ripping. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's about to be on and popping, but Papa, also same question to you. We got a championship match. How did we feel about Valiente versus Esfinge?
I really liked this match. I thought that I was messaging Mikey when I was watching this show, but I feel that this match was about something more than a belt.
Yes,
it felt so personal, and it was. I literally was like, "Oh yeah, there's a belt involved. I don't care. I'm here to destroy you," and it was so good. I really enjoyed it. I really liked those flips that Esfinge did to a Valiente. Those sort of flip. He did multiple ones in order or in a row, and there was a lot of there was so much eye candy happening in this match, just technique and just what was going on, and watching the psychology of it, and because there was a psychological level to this match. Because, like I said, that's why I picked up on the whole idea that there was something more going on than just a belt match. And then, yeah, I could see the switch in Valiente from Technicos to Rudos. You saw it happen. I mean, it was great. You literally saw it happen right there at the end, and I was just like, "Holy goodness! I love it so much." I have no idea what they're saying, but I know what's going on.
You know what's going on.
Yeah. I literally was like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
But this was good. This was so good.
Yeah, and also the beautiful thing is that this was built up by matches. There were no promos, no backstage, this or that. This was all just matches. Watching them, this this partnership or friendship just dissolve over weeks. It was good. It was good.
It's fantastic. So from here, Esfinge does retain the championship, but doesn't walk out of this 100% unscathed. As El Buntador mentioned, Valiente beat the living daylight out of Esfinge with the championship belt. So I'm excited to see where this goes next. So this leads into the next promo we had on this show, where we had Templario start out in the arena talking, and then it cuts backstage to a one Maxwell Jacob Freeman, aka MJF. So okay, I'm gonna put this up right now before we do anything else. So all right. So this is the beginning of where this leads into our main event, where we're going to talk about the match, which was a lot of fun and was really great. But we also got to talk about the elephant in the room too. So this is an important notice that we're going to touch on, topics such as xenophobia and slight racism when it comes to MJF and what he said before the match even started. So if you are offended by these types of things, now is your time to log off, come back, skip through later. But these are important. So just to be aware, don't be a turd in the comments. Alrighty. So in this promo, Templario does the thing like he is going to challenge for MJF. And then, of course, because MJF is from the States, he cut his promo in English. So we knew what he was saying. And this was the beginning of, I was like, ooh, okay. Ooh, okay. I see where this might go. Hopefully it won't be too bad. So I was like, oh, MJF, you are such a slime ball. I was like, I know that's the whole thing because you're a heel now since coming back, but ooh, this one hurt a little bit. And then it got worse when we got to the main event, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yep.
So we're gonna put a pin in that for right now, and then we're gonna let it all out after we talk about the main event match, because after this questionable promo, we get into our semi-main event of the evening. This is a relevo sencillo match. So 2 out of 3 falls. We had Volador Jr. and Máscara Dorada taking on the team of the Bastard Pac and Rocky Azúcar Romero. Dale, Azúcar. Dale, Azúcar. I will put that song on randomly. It is so damn good and danceable. I love seeing Rocky Romero, and I was like, give this man his flowers. Not only did he help AEW open doors to New Japan, but now AEW is working with CMLL down here. I'm like, Rocky Romero is just promoter of the year for me. Like, and he also is a good, fantastic wrestler too. So this match was everything that I wanted it to be. Like, oh my gosh, even from the jump, like of course, since I'm more familiar with our AEW folks, especially like talking about Pac specifically, his Falcon Arrow to pick up the first pinfall, I never get tired of watching him jump off and hit the Falcon Arrow like off the top rope with all those flips. I'm like, oh my God, it's so beautiful.
It's beautiful. And what better crowd that would appreciate the Falcon Arrow than Mexico City? You know what I mean?
Pac is a luchador, whether he wants to say it or not. And then the fact is, he walked in with the luchador mask around his neck like he was Craven the Hunter with trophies out here. I was like, what is this? I was like, this is awesome. This is so ridiculous. This match was so damn good. Like, everybody did their part. I love this match so much. Volador Jr. and Máscara Dorada do end up victorious, which, you know, kind of evens the playing field about especially like what went down last Friday. When that match with, you know, Pac and the Lucha Bros ended in DQ because of mask pulling.
Right.
So
Pac,
how dare you? Well, he is the bastard. So
he even came in with a mask around his neck.
Yeah, he was out here looking like Craven the Hunter. It was so good. El Butador, like, this was the semi-main event, and I was just like, I forgot we had a championship match after this, but I was like, damn, this match was good.
Yeah.
How did you feel?
You know, you could tell how good the match was because Pac looked like he was having fun. He was smiling. I don't know if you caught that, but he was like smiling, and he was when him and Rocky Romero did that slide towards the camera, you know, he had this like grin on, and he just like soaking up all the booze from the crowd and all that. So you could, you know, it's that whole adage that when the performers are having fun, then you know it's going to be a good show. You know, I am so ready for Máscara Dorada and Pac to have a Máscara verse for hair match. Make it happen. Hair versus Máscara.
I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be surprised if they put that on the anniversary show happening in September.
I hope so. I mean, because he in that earlier in the week in that interview spot, Pac said that sure he would do it. That he would put his hair on the line for Máscara Dorada's mask. So,
oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Papa, also, we're going to come to you next. This is our semi-main event. How did we feel about Pac and Rocky taking on Volador Jr. and Máscara Dorada?
Well, this was my match of the night because it was just so damn good. like all three of the rounds. I have the piadas, I think that's what they're called.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The first one was great. The second one was great. And I also had the same note in my notes that I was like, Pac is obviously enjoying himself.
Yeah.
He was having a great time, and it was awesome. And that finisher at the end of the second piada that Volador Jr. did to Pac was badass.
Yes.
At the end of that, I was like, holy goodness. And at the end of the third, which was, I think, the better of the three, the finishers at the end of that were awesome. I just, it just, all of the energy and the fun and the build-up and the, watching Pac have a good time was just, it just really made me just love this match. That's why I was like, this is my match of the night, because it was just so good. And if they had ended the night here, I would have been totally happy.
Mm-hmm.
And because, yeah.
Yeah.
So, as mentioned, Volador Jr. and Máscara Dorada do pick up the victory here. So now we get into our final match of the Viernes Espectacular, our main event. Will's already, Papa Oso's preparing himself, and we're all preparing ourselves. So again, let me throw this up real quick. So yeah, now we're getting to the meat and potatoes. So there we go. Okay. So in our main event for Viernes Espectacular, we had a match for the AEW American Championship. I was corrected tonight when I was watching Dynamite. It's not the United States Championship. It is the American Championship.
Yeah.
So for the AEW American Championship, we have our winner who won the right to face MJF in that awesome elimination style match a couple weeks back. So we have Templario taking on the champion Maxwell Jacob Freeman, MJF. So I want to start with the positives because the match was actually a lot of fun and it was great. We'll talk about MJF's character, but as a wrestler, I think he is very fantastic and also leaning into the typical heel tropes, like getting out of the ring to take a break, like making timeouts happen. And Templario was not having any of it and wouldn't let MJF. I was like, bitch, you in my house. Like, you don't get to play by your rules. We're playing by mine. And unfortunately, it did come to bite Templario in the butt because MJF, did the heel thing and cheated to win.
Yep.
And ref didn't pay attention to it, unfortunately. So MJF retains his AEW American Championship. This was a fantastic match. I thought it was fun. We're going to hold off on the promo before the match in a little bit, but El Puntador, I'm going to come to you first. The match itself, match only. How did we feel?
No, match wise, it was a fantastic match. It was a great main event. You had the two different styles. I felt complemented each other. If the only negative regarding the match that I have is that it seemed like Templario had to slow himself down a little bit to match MJF, but on the flip side, Templario is technically a rudo, so he does that that more brawly style. Even though he can fly, we know that he can fly. He does do that brawly style. So he was able to match up with MJF's Western style. Some of the drops that. What was it? I think that MJF, he dropped Templario on the outside barricade on Barry Barricade out there. Just wow, great selling because all that stuff looked like it hurt. Which something else, MJF, such a great seller. Every big hit that Templario hit him with, he just sold it. Even if it did look a bit like it was an oversell, it still looked great in the context of the match, and he to really get that heat, at the end of the match, he shoves Kemalito. I mean, come on. How can you
That was rude.
Kemalito?
That was
How
rude.
can you hurt Kemalito? Ese bebé ahí, pobrecito. Yeah. So match wise, it was a great match. A really good main event. I will say, going into it, knowing the backstory of all the AEW stuff, you knew that Templario was not coming out with the win, but I feel like this still in main US terms, this put Templario over, and they should show this match like one way or another. They should show it on US television.
I mean, we got bits and pieces over the course of AEW television over on Rampage, on Collision specifically this past weekend. But Papa Oso, same question to you. Just focusing on the match itself, how did we feel about the match for the AEW American Championship?
I thought it was okay. I mean, I thought it was good. Don't get me wrong. There were a lot of great moves. I think both of them did great. I thought there was way too much talking going on. I literally was like, shut up and fight. I was just like, shush, get to the match. I was like, if I wanted to watch American wrestling, I'd go watch AEW. I want to watch, CMLL, so shut your mouth and start fighting. I was just like, so I was already annoyed at the beginning of this. And we'll get to it in a minute, but the previous stuff had already set me on edge. So going into this, I was very much like, oh God, here he goes. It's going to be, and I was like, okay, fight, please. Then when we got to the fight itself, I was like, oh yay, okay, cool, great. I thought, Templario had some great moves at the very beginning. I mean, he was like doing it. I mean, it was great. And like I said, both of them wrestle really well. And I will agree with everything that has been said so far. The match itself was pretty darn good. It wasn't like my match of the night or anything, but it was really good. I enjoyed the fight. Once I got past my spikiness, then I was like, yeah, do it. And I knew that Templario would not win this match, even though I thought it would have been cool if he had, just to shut that dude up. But it kind of hurt watching him get his butt kicked. I mean, it is home. I was just like he just came up in your house and whooped your ass, and that hurt. That hurt a little bit. So, but overall, I thought the match was pretty good. It really was. There were some great moments.
Yeah. Alrighty. So now we got the positive out of the way. Now let's really talk about why we're really here for this episode. So I'm going to tag in El Buntador, as we had discussed prior to starting our live stream. If you haven't, we talked a little bit about this last night on our AEW review, but I'm going to tag in El Buntador to kind of fill everybody in as to, what transpired before the match itself, and then we'll have a discussion about it. So, El Buntador, the floor is yours. I am tagging you in. Go for it.
So, for the first 5 minutes, do we think, of the match?
About 5 to 7 minutes.
Like 5 or 7 minutes.
Yeah.
For the first 5 to 7 minutes of this match, it was MJF cutting a promo in ring, and he was going for the cheap heat, which he has been doing with this new heel persona for MJF, going a little bit heavier than his previous heel runs, but then he really started to toe the line of, am I being racist? Am I not being racist? Just like making it insinuations about Mexicans and being fence jumpers and coming over the border. He made a comment about, Templario, I will fly you back to Long Island in my private jet and give you a job washing my car. All you need to do is lie down and take the pin, like that type of stuff. And it, I think I can speak for the three of us when we say it got uncomfortable. I will say, I did post about this on my Threads account, and I did get a very unique perspective. I didn't ask the individual, if I could say his screen name, so I'm going to leave him anonymous, but I am going to say what they said about it. So his response was, "Hola, I was in the crowd for this, and the heat was real. The gringo patriotic heel roll is nothing new to Mexican audiences, and while what he said was vile, it ain't nothing new. Eddie Guerrero doing Gringos Locos felt more insulting because he was one of us. Even Sam Adonis going full MAGA was more brutal, in my opinion. I love Max, but it just felt kind of played out and stale. A trope that needs to die already." And I think that is the full crux of it, is that it's stale, it's boring, it didn't need to be there. Just get to the match already, like Will was saying. And then to pull Rocky Romero to translate for that whole segment was just, it didn't have to. It didn't have to. And that was that. Those are my thoughts on it. What'd you think, Mikey?
I'm actually gonna have Will go next because I'll close out with my thoughts and give my perspective on it. So Papa, also I'm gonna allot my time to you because I got most of it out last night, and I'll just summarize it. But so okay, again, hang on before we get started. Okay, there we go. So I want to give Will a time to talk because, of the three of us, and Will won't get mad when I say this, me and El Butador are your melanated, host here. And Papa also is lacking the melanin in the skin sometimes, unless he's sunburned. But I think it's really important. So, Will, however you want to address this, I want you to share your thoughts because your opinion is also important as somebody who works with, me and El Buntador when it comes to reviewing CMLL. So, what are your overall thoughts and personal viewpoints and feelings about what MJF said at the beginning before the match got underway?
Okay. Well, first of all, let me preface all of what I'm about to say with this. I am not playing the white savior here at all. The Latin communities are very well capable of defending themselves. I will be in the back supporting you guys. I've got my pitchforks ready, but I'll only use them if you want me to. Now, with that being said, as a white man who loves the Latins, him standing there in the middle of that arena spewing that stuff, and even though I know this is a character, quote unquote, but it drives me insane when these types of quote unquote characters are created, and this goes with the idea of it just needs to go away. We're in a different time now, and I don't think characters like that should be tolerated. I just don't. Because if you are creating a character that is that xenophobic, racist, homophobic, whatever he is, you are doing it for a reason. It's either for shock value or maybe deep down inside, you've got some underlying issues. Whatever it is, you need to pack that shit in a suitcase and put it in the attic. Because and I will even take it from a national aspect. As an American, I was embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. I think, Mike, I told you, I was like, it makes me ashamed of being an American. Because I'm sorry. If I was a heel and I'm going down to Mexico or, hell, I don't know, Switzerland, Sweden, wherever, I'm not gonna go out there making these horrific remarks against. It's like going to like Germany and talking about Nazis. I mean, it's like, and like praising Nazis. I mean, it's like, what are you doing? I literally, my jaw was on the floor. And then when Rocky Romero was translating, I was like, well, that's even makes it worse, because not only are you basically saying that Latin people are basically servants to everybody else, you literally have a Latin wrestler translating for you. And I'm just like, I thought it was disgusting. I did. I thought it was so disgusting. It left a foul taste in my mouth. And yay, and I'm glad that what you read there, the person's comment. That's fantastic. You know, I'm glad that they're like, oh, we've heard worse, which makes me even more angry because it's like, why are you okay with it? I don't understand. Stop being okay with this shit. Because I mean, in American style wrestling, characters like that shouldn't even exist anymore. The time for those characters is long gone. There are other things that you can do to have shock value. You don't have to dig out the old deep south, type of stuff going on, like, Jimmy Crack Corn and all that. You don't need to pull all that crap out. Put that shit away. So when he came out and started spewing, I mean, even in the promo, I was just like, what is this? I immediately just like, that's when I sent Mikey the message about being ashamed of, I felt ashamed of being an American with this dude. And then he came in flying the American flag, which I'm kind of surprised. I'm amazed he didn't come in flying the Confederate flag with all the shit he was spewing out there. I'm like, what are you doing? I was so mad. I'm still like, I'm shaky about it. I'm so mad because I'm sorry, and I, as an instructor, as an educator, I have to protect my students from shit like this, because it's like, no, this is a character that doesn't belong in the world anymore, like as a casual thing. Now, if it was an educational thing, like, here, let me show you what not to be, then okay. But this is literally, and this is where I get my other heckles up, is there are children watching this. And children, and I mean, no matter what anybody says, kids look up to wrestlers. They look up to them. And so it just makes me ill to think that there are kids out there that think what he's saying is okay. And that bugs the crap out of me. And so my beef is with the white man in the room. Like I said, my Latin brothers and sisters can take very good care of themselves. But that white man in the room, I literally wanted to kick his ass. I wanted to drag him out of that room and beat him with a brick. I mean, literally. I was so mad. It was so disgusting. And I'm not a fan of MJF. If you didn't catch any of that. So,
that's very fair.
That's my piece. That's my piece.
Right. So, I mean, both of you have said a lot of what I was going to say anyway, so I'll just keep this concise because I got it out to when we did our AEW review yesterday. My two biggest issues with this is, number one, is what Will and El Buntador have already said. It's just like, yes, maybe the people in that arena have heard worse, but I 100% agree. This is 2024. Characters like that in wrestling should not even exist, given the fact of the numerous amount of history that we've seen in professional wrestling, of how marginalized, groups of wrestlers have been treated from women. Lest we forget, like during the 2000s and the 90s, we had the Braun Pain women. Wrestlers in the LGBTQIA plus community were being treated as a joke. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love me Chuck and Billy. That whole era was ridiculous. And, looking back on it, it was fun. And so I'm just like, it's 2024. We need to put those characters away. Number 2, and what makes me kind of boggle my mind a little bit is MJF, you are a person that belongs to a marginalized group. You are a Jewish man. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if this was your idea or Tony Khan's idea. I hope it wasn't Tony Khan's idea because Tony Khan is also a person of color as well. But then El Buntador, when I shared with you in that text message when we were talking about this, you brought up something that I had forgotten about last year because MJF this is not the first time that he's been, in some hot water for character choices because last time he was a heel too. And because he is of Jewish descent, like he did the whole bag of nickels thing. And I was like, I totally forgot about that. It is 2024. MJF, like, we told the line. I said it like I still had an issue with it, but it didn't bother me as much like early in the week because he was only going after, Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, who are, by association white. So I was like, okay, cool. Then when I saw this happen down in the Arena Mexico, I was like, ooh, okay, yeah, I sat with that uncomfortability. I watched that in the morning on Saturday, and that stuck with me for the remainder of my day. It was not a fun feeling to go about my day with that sitting in my chest. And I know some folks are going to be like, bro, it's professional wrestling. You need to get over it, which is fair. But I was just like, nah, we can't be doing this. So I have said my piece. It's 2024. Put it away. So, alrighty. So, before we have, the Martes de Arena Mexico show that we are going to be covering in a little bit. But we're going to take a quick break real fast and grab a snack, and we'll be right back. So, see you in a little bit. And we are back. So hopefully you grabbed a snack and a drink because strap in because we still got a whole nother show to talk about. So I am going to be tagging in El Buntador for this one. Papa also will be back shortly. Just need to go take care of something real quick. And so I'm going to tag in El Buntador because he is going to lead us through the Martes de Arena Mexico show. So El
That's
Buntador,
right.
tagging you in. Let's do this.
All right. So we started with the Pequeños Estrellas, which is actually a division in CMLL. It's for those individuals that are 5 feet and under. So we had on the Rudos team, Pequeño Polvaro and Mercurio versus Fantasy. Acero and Aereo. Those were your technicals. This was a Relevo Australiano, 1 fall, and your Rulos team. That's not my bad. So the Rulos was actually, Pequeño Polvaro.
Full Metal.
And Full Metal and Mercurio. Yeah, and versus Fantasy, Acero, and Aereo. Relevo Australiano, 1 fall. Your Rudos end up with the win. This was a good first match. Again, it knew how long it had to be. Had a lot of exciting wrestling going on, showcasing a lot of the smaller, nimbler luchadors. So, what'd you think, Mikey?
So, I chalk it up as a win anytime Mercurio is involved in a match. Like, as long as I get his little dance that he does, I win immediately. Like, best match, 10 out of 10. He's just so entertaining to watch. But I also thought this definitely set the tone for the rest of the show because all the action that came after this was fantastic. And I'm just going to preface this right now. Our Amazonas made me super excited that the Amazonas were in the main event for this particular episode, which makes me excited because women's wrestling that can main event. When we've seen it, it ends up being the better main event. But as far as this match goes, I thought all of these men did great. Again, like I said before, anytime Mercurio does his little dance is awesome and is fun to watch. He's just so charismatic. And yeah, so I thought this was a lot of fun.
Papa also?
Yeah, this is a super fun match. I thought that there was a little bit of I thought the technicals were a little sloppy at times. There were some missteps and marks I noticed in this one, but not enough to make it feel dangerous. I just noticed it. Mercurio is cray slaps like a bitch, and I love him. There were some great moves. That move that Aereo did to Mercurio was pretty badass.
Right. Went outside of the ring?
Yeah, that one was so cool. The Rudos are very charismatic. And what I mean by that, not necessarily they're super high energy. They were just you wanted to just be their friends.
Yeah.
I was in love with them. I was just they made me love them. And so I was like, God, these guys are super charismatic. Yeah. This was a very gymnastic match. There was a lot of gymnastics happening in here, and it was so cool to watch.
Yeah.
I love this whole that moment where each of them were jumping over the rope onto the next person. That was so funny. It was just how absolutely silly, but I loved it. And I think we kind of alluded to this earlier when you were going through the ideas what's different between luchador style and a Western style, whatever. But I love the fact that there's no BS.
Yes.
You get in, you do what you're supposed to do, and you get out of the way. I love that. When we were talking about the count outs, They do. The guys count going boom. You're like out, and they're going again. And there's no constant like that. The pinfall is not necessarily the focus of it.
Yes.
I mean, it's the outcome of it, but it's not the focus of it. And I love that. And this match really kind of just said that to me. Like, God, just look at this. I mean, I don't know. I was. No, it wasn't. Mikey, I thought I sent you a message about this, but it wasn't you. It was a friend of mine that I was talking to, and I was telling him I love I love the Lucha Libre because it's just no bullshit. It's literally just wrestling, and it's beautiful, and the outcome is somebody gets pinned or someone has to submit, but it's not the focus of it. And I just wish American or Western style wrestling was more like that. It's just so much more entertaining because it's not all full of like spectacle. It's like the wrestlers don't have to be on all the time. And I just love that. And this whole first match was I really just sort of settled in, and I was like, this is great.
Right. Yeah. Yep. So as I said, your Rudos come out with the win for the first match, which brings us to our second match, which on the Rudos team we had the Indestructibles again, Disturbio El Cholo in Apocalypsis, coming out with Mije. Against your technical team of Dragon de Fuego, Astral, and Mikey's favorite, Robin. Mikey, because Robin was in this match, I'm gonna let you talk about it. Go ahead.
Match of the night. Just kidding. No. So here's the thing. Anytime you start a new promotion, and this is any wrestling fan, you're gonna gravitate towards, whether you can explain it or not, you end up gravitating towards the folks that, you like what you see in terms of style, wrestling, all that good stuff, right? When we first started CMLL, when we watched, the Arena Mexico show, and then also I ended up watching the Saturday show, Robin was on there. I was like, yo, this dude can move. And here's the thing. Normally, I'm used to bigger, plus size wrestlers to be, relegated to the powerhouse roles. And even though in size, Robin is very short, he is actually really fast, and he has the hops too. Sidebar, I want his bedazzled shirt. Like, I need that immediately. So I immediately knew I was going to love this match. But what I really loved about this match too is that CMLL and Lucha Libre never cease to amaze me that it doesn't matter the age that you are as a luchador in CMLL. Like, everyone gets used, because you technically had the youngins, which was, Robin, Astral, and Dragon de Fuego, taking on your vets, which is, the Disturbio, El Cholo, and Apocalypsis. I really love this match because it showcased the strengths of both. The younger ones did more of the high flying stuff, but don't count out our vets because they also did some high flying and more technical stuff as well. Like, the whole finishing sequence in round 3 was probably my favorite sequence of the whole entire 2 shows that we ended up watching this week, just because everybody hit something. And you know what? Like, Robin just organically also gets the crowd involved too, because like he'll do stuff and then he stops and makes sure that the crowd is still invested, checks in on them with, the ear or the hand up and all that kind of stuff. And we don't necessarily get to see that all that often in Western wrestling. Like, he's like, all right, guys, you still here? All right, watch this. And then he'll go do something. Everybody did great in this match. And honestly, I loved it so much. I was so happy with this match. Again, give me more Robin on my screen. Like, him and Flip Gordon can do no wrong in my eyes.
Flip, yeah. I haven't seen Flip in a while. Papa, also, what did you think of this match?
You are muted.
You are muted. Silencio.
There we are. Not anymore. Here I am. I was saying that this was probably my favorite match of the night outside of the ladies. Out of all the men's stuff, this was my favorite one because so much was happening in this match, and I'll touch on what the Jefe said about the audience and how they were checking in with the audience. This is one of the things that I love about luchador style wrestling is that the audience is an active participant.
They are, yeah.
And it's so awesome. You know, and I know I refer to the Guadalajara stuff a lot, but, you know, the fact that they don't have a barrier, you know, and so wrestlers are like literally like being thrown into the audience, and the audience is very much like into it. They're not, you know, it is so great. So yeah, so when he would go up on the ropes and he'd do the thing and the audience would just get crazed, I was like, it just really brings the energy of what this style of wrestling is. It just sort of it is what it is. It is an active, your audience is an active participant. Unlike in Western wrestling, they're not. They're spectators. That's really all they are. But here they're truly like part of it. And I just love that. So, but the match itself, I thought, man, Apocalypsis was just tossing fools around.
Yeah, he was.
Man, he was. I mean, he was just like, I was like, oh my god. Astral, man, he is like he's quick like a squirrel. Man, he is just like zips and zaps all over the place. And I was like, he was great. I love Robin. He's cute. Astral's pretty badass. Poor Dragon, man, he was getting gangbanged in the top of the second. Yeah, and I was just, and not in a good way. You know, I was just like, holy goodness, dude. I have a note that says, love that little bounce off the ropes, and I don't remember who did it. There was like a little bitty, I don't remember who did it, dang it, but I really liked it. Then Astral came in, he was cleaning house. Man, Robin flew in there. I was like beef flying all over the place. Poor Dragon couldn't catch a break. Then yay, Mihei. I love when they used Mihei. That was so fun. I thought that
I don't know if not to interrupt you, but I don't know if y'all caught, but the announcers for Lucha Libre, you have one that leans technical, you have one that leans rudo, and then you have one that kind of like cuts down the middle. And the announcer that was the rudo announcer, he kept calling Mihei a little kid and was saying, "Oh, he's just 9 years old." And the technical announcer is like, "What the hell are you talking about? He's a 45-year-old man.
He's a grown ass man.
Yeah, he's a grown ass man. What are you talking about?" Like,
yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, that banter going on. It was hilarious. They were having that banter when they put Mihei up to do the rope the rope spot. So I just wanted to toss that in there real quick.
No, I love that. I love that they are involved as well, and they're not just sideline, that sort of thing. I love that. So I love that they got Mihei involved. And then in the third, I mean, Astral was on fire. I mean, he came into that third one with a vengeance.
Yeah,
I was just like, damn. So yeah, though. I mean, I really, really loved this match. It's so funny because when I look back at the Friday show compared to the Tuesday show, I really liked the Tuesday show more. And not necessarily because it was like 1,000 times better. It's just there was so much more electricity in the Tuesday show.
Right.
I mean, there was so much in the air. It was just in the air. And not to say anything bad about the Friday show, because the Friday show was fantastic. But it felt very technical. It was like we're doing all this stuff and we're doing this, that, what the, blah, blah, blah. This one felt so much more personal as someone watching it. So So I love this whole match. I just love, and my guys won, so I was happy about that.
Yeah.
We're
Though I
slowly
do have to
returning.
say, I do like the Rudos, though. I do like them too.
You know, they are growing on me. I was like, you know what? I like this little trio that we get to see ever so often. They're
Yeah.
really, really good, and they still can go. Like I love them.
I am ready for the Indestructibles to get a win though, because ever since they dropped the trios title, the championship, they've been kind of on a losing streak. So, at least in the shows that I've seen, full disclosure, CMLL does run 6 shows from Friday to Tuesday. They have 6 shows going on, and 2 shows on one day. Yeah, we only get to see a few of them. So, the Indestructibles could have picked up a win in one of the other shows, and I haven't seen it yet. So, but yeah, the Technicos win. Then we get a commercial for again the Grand Prix coming up August 23rd.
Yes, I'm so excited for this Grand Prix.
Yeah.
I did want to mention though, I couldn't find anything, but it was kind of interesting to see that Flip was on the international team.
Right?
I was just like, because when we went through all of Mexico, I was like, okay, yeah, Mystico makes sense. Volador makes sense. All those people. And then the international team was like, okay, we're taking wrestlers from New Japan and AEW and like just on the independents. Cool. And then I saw Flip Gordon's name on there. I was like, is there something that I don't know? Is it because he looks American? Like, what's happening?
I mean, probably, but he is on the CMLL roster, so yeah, that caught me off guard a little bit too. That Flip Gordon is considered.
Hey, but you know what? I ain't mad at it. I was like, you go Flip,
right? Yeah.
I have a question. Speaking of the announcers, real quick, is it just in Spanish?
Yes.
I mean, it sounds, because every so often I'll be watching and I'll hear something in there. It swear to God sounds Japanese.
Yeah.
And I was just like, are they translating this? Is there a Japanese announcer as well? And I was so confused. I was so confused because I was like, and it was today when I was watching. Oh no, it was yesterday when I was watching the Friday show, and I was just watching, and all of a sudden I hear the announcer talking, and I was like, "Is that Japanese? Is someone speaking Japanese?" And I was like, "Why are they speaking Japanese?" It sounded like Japanese, and I was so confused. Then I thought, well, I know they do a lot of stuff with New Japan, so I was like, well, maybe it's like a courtesy thing they're doing. It's like I was totally like, I don't know where I am right now. So I was trying to justify what I was hearing.
I know that Spanish and Japanese, they aren't based in the same like Latin-based language, because Japanese is based in like and it even depends, because even if you look at Japanese language too, there's different subsects depending on what areas of Japan you live in, and then how that is. And then even with Chinese too, there's a whole different thing. It's just like, it's not just one, because you have Mandarin and all that kind of stuff. I will say, because of how universal language is, there are some words that, in Spanish and Japanese that do sound the same, but can mean completely different things. But I liked it nonetheless. So
yeah. And the announcers do from time to time, they will use phrases from other languages, like in the Tuesday show. I think it was Mickey Lee. He said adios, arrivederci, so that might have been it. He might have like said sayonara or something like that.
Maybe, I don't know. My ears picked up on something, and I was trying to figure out why, and I was like, couldn't figure it out, and it was starting to drive me crazy.
Right.
So, okay, I'm glad to know that.
So our next match was a trios match. It was a Relevo Australiano, best 2 out of 3 falls, where we had Felino, Rey Bucanario, and Felino Jr. coming out with Perico Zacarias against Shelhua, Pelon Encapuchado, who I don't know if he's a gimmick or anyway. We'll get
This is the first time we've seen him. We'll talk about him because I was just like, what in the product placement
is going on here, Batman? And then Guerrero Maya Jr. That was your technical team. Your Rudos are Felino, Rey Bucanero, and Felino Jr. This was a fun match. Felino again. Going to that whole age there is no age in Lucha Libre because Felino for as long as he's been doing this and for his age, he was getting at it, man. He was getting at it. He was mixing it up. He was jumping. It was fantastic. The Papa, so let's start with you. What did you think?
I really liked this match. This was like the match of submission moves, man.
Yeah,
they were rolling up submissions left and right, and some of them were so cool. It's so neat to see the differences between, like, again, Western style submission holds and this, like, CMLL. The submission move is so unique. Like that one that we talked about already, where the one where the legs were underneath and the back was arched, and girl, I mean that looks painful. I was literally like, I would have tapped out immediately. It's like nope. I thought the match got stronger as it went on.
Mm-hmm.
It was very entertaining, and I wasn't sure who was going to win this one. Normally, I can go, oh, these folks are going to win, but I couldn't really tell in this one. I was sort of like, oh, I didn't call this one. I called the other one, but this one I was like, oh, I don't know who's winning this one. So I really like that. It was a really good match.
Mikey, what'd you think?
So I'll talk about the match itself, which I agree with Papa also here in the sense that this was like your more grounded and technical, match of the evening, which I really, really enjoy as somebody who likes technical wrestling, especially from people we've talked about before, like Zack Sabre Jr., Bryan Danielson, and even some more, going across all the other brands too. Like, I love it to death. So the match was a lot of fun. But what I really want to talk about here is we need to talk about Pelon for a little bit, because this was the first time that he has been, on our CMLL screen. So I don't know if he's, been out, if this is a gimmick, but when he had a whole endorsement from that Mexican candy, I was like, what in the product placement is this?
Yeah.
Like, I had to pause, and I wasn't even mad because as a kid who grew up in Southern California and in the 90s, we had that. We had, Lucas, like, if anybody remembers that, if you are a person of a certain age group, y'all remember back in the 90s, early 2000s, like the Lucas that you would sprinkle on your hand and eat with lemon and all that good stuff. Like,
mm-hmm.
And I'm just sitting here. I was just like, what in the actual product placement is going on? Like, he literally looked like the Mexican candy. I was like, this is the walking embodiment. And I was just like, I'm kind of here for this product placement. But, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, please let him actually be good in the ring. I was like, you know what? He's actually pretty good in the ring. So I'm not going to be mad.
Yeah.
I also love that.
Sorry. He did say that this was his first match. This was his first match. So
honestly, I want to see more of him. I also love the fact, like, he pulled a Willow Smith and whipped his hair before he got in the ring. I was like, yes, I am here for whatever this product placement is. This was ridiculous. The technical wrestling itself was fantastic. I want to see more of Pelon just because I want to see what other shenanigans he can get into. But, this is product placement gone right, because he was a walking product placement for Mexican candy, and he actually can wrestle. So I'm here for it.
Yeah, that was funny. It was funny because originally I thought it was a joke. I thought it was like, oh, look, we're bringing the mascot of this candy in to do this thing. And I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be a fun match. It's going to be, ha, 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 ha. And then he actually started wrestling. And I was like, oh, he's actually a wrestler. Okay.
Listen, I need Pelon versus Bimbo, the bear mascot, like for the bread. Y'all need to go to, El Puntador probably know this, but Will, when we go to Mexico, like me and El Puntador, we're gonna take you to Mexico and we're gonna show you all the different mascots because Mexico, especially, is very mascot heavy when it comes to everything, food, clothing. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And then just a quick sidebar about this match. So Perico, for those that don't know, Perico Zacarias, when he comes out wearing this parrot, this parrot costume and parrot mask and all that. And one of the I believe it was the Technico announcer or the Rudo announcer is like, oh, it's great to have him in the corner. And then the Technico announcer is like, why is he there? He just leaves feathers all over the place. You get him out of there. So
so good. I loved it so much.
Right. So Mikey, why don't you take over for the next match here?
Cool. I can definitely do that because after this match, we had a match Relampago. So we had our lightning match in which we had a time limit for this particular one. And we had Neon taking on Valiente. So Valiente is working double duty in these shows right here. And again, anytime we get a Relampago match, we know it's going to be quick. Everybody's like, all right, we got 10 minutes. Who's going to win? Like, it's about to be on and popping. It's going to be good. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fantastic and all that good stuff. So this was just quick, nonstop action. Again, Valiente is also climbing up the ranks for me. I was like, dang, this guy is good. But Neon really impressed me. He's like, all right, we got like 10 minutes. Let me just throw everything and the kitchen sink and the front door and, the water heater just for good measure. Like, he was throwing everything into this match. And I think what I love about these Relampago matches, as I'm pretty sure that Papo Oso and El Buntador agree with me, there's always a sense of urgency with these matches, which I feel that we don't get with a lot of other matches in CMLL or even in just wrestling in general. I love the sense of urgency this match gave. Now, so Valiente does walk away the winner in this match, so this was fantastic. So Papo Oso, I'm going to come to you first. It's been a while since we had a Relampago match type here in CMLL. How did you feel about Neon versus Valiente?
Well, I loved it, but I have a question. What happens if they get to 10 minutes and there's not a winner?
It's a tie.
It's a tie? Okay. Yep. That's cool.
Yep. The first match, the Relampago match that I watched was Rocky Romero versus Máscara Dorada, and they went the full 10 minutes, and it was a draw.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, cool. I was just curious because I've never seen one go 10 minutes, or like without a winner. No, I thought this was a great match. I wasn't sure who was winning this one, and then I was like, "Well done, Valiente." It was really. I literally was like, I watched the match and realized I hadn't taken any notes on it because it was so quick. Even though 10 minutes is not really fast, but it just. And I agree, it does have a sense of urgency to it, and it kind of makes you feel a little anxious.
Once it's getting to the 8-minute
night, oh God. Yeah. I was like, okay, who's winning? Somebody's got to win. Oh God. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. So but I thought it was a great match, and I really like Valiente a lot. I've liked him in every fight that I've seen him in. I like him more and more every time I see him. So I was really excited for this one. So yeah, I really loved it.
El Buntador, same question to you. It's been a while since we had a Relampago match. So how did we feel about this one?
Oh, this was a good one. I really enjoyed that the fact that they took it all the way to 9 minutes. Neon, you had your classic, Neon is a younger lucha against Valiente, who is, dare I say, your elder statesman luchador. And Neon was able to get some of his high flying moves in, but Valiente in the end there, he kind of outfoxed him and got there for the nines at the 9 minute with a clean win too. So Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it. I have to agree with Papa also in that, that timer on the screen, anxiety. Because you see like 5 minutes go by. Okay, no problem. And then like when you look back at it, it's like at 8 minutes 37 seconds. You're like, where the hell? What? You're right. And it's the match is still going. You're like, oh my god. So it definitely would be cool if they introduced that gimmick into your Western wrestling companies.
Oh yeah, I'd love that.
I definitely loved it too. So, again, it's been a while since we had a Relampago match. So, we get into our semi-main event in which we had a Relevo Australiano match, 2 out of 3 falls. We had Esfinge, Star Black, and Fugaz taking on one of my personal also favorites, Barbaro Cavernario. I was like, yes, we love the caveman up in here. Teaming up with Terrible, which I got a chuckle out of just the name alone. And Difunto. So this is 2 out of 3 falls, Relevo Australiano. I really like this match too. Anytime I see Barbaro Cavernario and any of these matches, I get excited because I'm gonna get 2 things. I'm gonna get the high flying action, and on top of that, I am going to get when it calls for it, Barbaro also hits pretty hard too, which I love, as we have seen multiple times here in Arena Mexico, and we also saw that in the Fantastica Mania USA pay-per-view a couple weeks ago. So I thought this match was a lot of fun. Of course, Esfinge is growing on me in terms of, being luchadors. I thought this was a really good combination of your high flying, also grounded technical work as well. It just felt fun. And that was the vibe that this whole entire Tuesday show is giving me, is just like every match I walked away having a good time with it. And I'm like, if that's how the Tuesday shows are going to be, I'm kind of here for them. But Papa Oso, so again, 2 out of 3 falls. We had, these 2 teams going at it. So how did we feel about this match?
I really liked this match. It was, I really liked all the matches, but and I know I sound like a broken record, but I really did. I thought all the wrestlers were showing up for it for sure. I was like, because Fugaz, but he was going after Defunto, Star Black's man at the top. He was just in it, and I loved those shoulder hits that he was doing on Defunto. He did 3 of them, and on the 4th one, Defunto was like, "Nope, I don't think so." But they were so neat. They were like backward shoulder hits, or I don't know. I can't even explain what they were. They were just really cool looking. And then eventually, like midway, the Rudos, man, they came back with a vengeance. And then towards the end, I wasn't sure who was going to win this last round, because the Rudos were brutal, and Esfinge and all of them tried to bounce back, but it just wasn't enough. And I have to say, it was the coolest freaking thing, but it made me so uncomfortable. Is when Defunto made that run along the top rope.
Yes, yeah.
That was like, that scared the living crap out of me, but it was the coolest freaking thing I've seen ever. I've never seen anyone run along the top rope like that before, and that was the coolest damn thing. And it was a great match, man. It was great. It was so many good things happening in this match.
We love to see it. El Buntador, same thing to you. Semi-main event. How did we feel about this match?
So I am just happy that Esfinge made it through this match without his mask getting ripped.
For reals, bro.
Thank the Lucha gods.
They tried.
They tried. Yeah, there was a little bit there. And I was like, oh, no, here we go. But like, please, let's not have another Esfinge rivalry going on, for the love. Yeah, it was a fun match. I love seeing Barbario. It was a great setup for his finisher move. And I'm always surprised that he's able to hit it from like any angle. So that was really cool. I love Terrible. He's got some great face uh emotions, when he's in there. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a great match. They knew what they had to do, and it was entertaining, getting us warmed up for that main event. So
Well, I mean, we don't have to wait long because let's talk about the main event. So, in our main event for the Martes de Arena Mexico show, we had a title match, and this was for the vacant CMLL World Women's Tag Team Championship. If anyone who is just joining us for the first time, to give a little bit of background. So, we'll say last month, at the current time, our CMLL Women's Tag Team Champions were the team of Zuxis and Stephanie Vaquer. And Stephanie last month ended up signing with WWE and dropped her Women's World Championship and ended up dropping the Tag Team Championships. So Zuxis was no longer a tag team champion. And so there was an elimination style match that happened 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
I think it was 2 weeks ago.
No,
I was mad that it was last week, and I was mad that I couldn't review that because that was a slobber.
We reviewed it.
Yes. the masked folks here, they won't let me forget it. Anyways, so we had these two teams earn this right, and so we had this. This was so good, but to compete for the championship, we had team number 1, which was Tessa Blanchard and Juvia, taking on the team of Zuxis and Persephone. Y'all, these women went at it. Like, this is exactly what I wanted.
No effing around.
Y'all, this was gas, as the kids say. This match was gas. This was my match of the Tuesday show, and honestly, probably my favorite match of the between the two shows. Like, holy crap, this was a 15-minute bout. All the women went back and forth. Like, there was no stopping. Once they started, they kept going. And oh my God, I was like, yes, give it to me right now. Like, holy hell.
Yeah.
Like, I have no words. Like, there are not enough words. Like, just let's talk about it, man. Like, holy crap.
And I was discussing this match with Alice. They had 15 minutes for this match, and they did not stop for 15 minutes straight. At the end of the match, where spoilers, Tessa and Juvia are your new CMLL tag team champions, but at the end of the match, Juvia and Tessa are just so gassed because when they were up on the ropes holding the belts, they were just like and Persephone and Zexis, I love those two. I love those two together. I hope they don't break them up. But they were gassed laying down on the mat, you know what I mean? But the hits were hard. I don't know if there were some receipts being handed out in this one, or if it was just straight stiff. But woo, I thought, wow, it was good. It was good. It was good.
I'm like, I still got chills thinking about this match. But Papa Oso, let's come to you next. Like, all 4 of these women killed it. So how did you feel about this championship match?
Well, this was my ultimate match of everything. And that's why I was earlier. I was like, this is my match amongst the men's stuff, because we all knew the women's match was going to be the top. Because, man, these women, they showed out. my God. You're right. I mean, it was constant. There was no break. There was no, ooh, let me catch my breath for a second. It was hit after hit after hit after hit after hit.
Yes.
You could tell that this was a fight that somebody was coming out on top and somebody was going to be dead. I mean, it was like, I was like, holy crap. You know, the hits and I've always said this every time I talk about women's wrestling at CMLL is that the women hit harder than the men do. The men's matches are brutal at times, but they're so pretty. There's because of the high flying and all of the acrobatics. The women are like raw, like here, hold my earrings, and just in it. And it was so good. I was hyped for this one. I literally didn't take any notes on it because I watched it. So I was just like, all I put is, oh, the women showed out. I was not disappointed in this match at all. Some amazing crap happening in here. And I said, my only thing is I was really hoping that Persephone would have won. But I'm super excited for Juvia and Tessa. I think just looking at the sheer joy in their beings when they won just makes it all worth it. I mean, just made it all worth it.
It's so good. And, you know, the fact that we had technical team win these championships too, it's going to be interesting to have them be the technicals going in this, however long they decide to hold these championships. But yeah, this was no contest. This was easily the best match of the Martes de Arena Mexico show. But on top of that, too, this was probably my favorite match of the whole entire 2 shows that we covered, which, you know, it's which brings us to the end because that was our main event.
That's it.
We end the show with Tessa and Juvia holding those championships as the broadcast comes to an end. And boys, that brings us to the end of this week's Los Lobos de la Lucha review.
Yeah.
This was a fun week, and I'm so happy that I got to be back for this.
A lot that happened.
So fantastic. And I mean, you know, they already released like next week's Friday show is going to be even crazier. So just to give a sneak peek before we sign off for the evening, like next Friday show, we got a whole bunch of people. In our main event, we have Místico Templario and Máscara Dorada taking on the team of Soberano Jr., Angel del Oro, and Barro Cavernario. I was like, oh, that match is about to slap. Like, for reals. We get the return. We get, you know, a whole bunch of people. There's just a whole bunch of good stuff happening next. So, we get the return of Okumura, one half of Cozy Max. So our CMLL Tag Team Champions is making his way back to Mexico next Friday. So I'm super excited. It's going to be a fun one. But boys, that's going to be it. Whew, chow. We did it. It was great for sure. All righty. Well, this was a long review. We got to get up on out of here.
Yeah, we do.
But from all of us here at Los Lobos de la Lucha, and for those of you that interacted with us in the chat too, because there's a bunch of you talking. So hopefully you will come back next Wednesday for another episode of Los Lobos de la Lucha. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will catch you next Wednesday for another episode. But until then, sayonara, adios, and we'll catch you later.